Welcome back. We've got UFC 310 action coming up this weekend. Going to be a banger of a card. We are back again after a little week's layoff there. Hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving, but it's time to get back into the action. UFC 310 is going to be a killer card. It's got some flyweight championship action. It's got some welterweight co-main event action. Man, it's loaded. It's got heavyweight action. Everything you would want from this card, it's pretty much got. It's loaded from top to bottom, in my opinion. I'm super pumped to see how some of these matches are going to play out. But as far as the not last week, but the week before, we went 2-4 on our picks that we handed out. Some of our stuff hit, some of our other stuff not so much, but we usually will only miss those parlays by like one leg, and I think that was pretty much the case with these if we missed any of them. So we just keep trying again. We keep trying to hit that big jackpot. I know we're going to get there eventually, but we are going to bust right into UFC 310. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know what you're thinking about these upcoming picks. Give me some comments. Let me know what your underdog picks are. Let me know what your locks are. I want to know from you guys what you guys are thinking, where you're going with this card. Maybe we can collaborate on some picks, get this stuff nailed down, and once again, beat Vegas. But we will get right into this first matchup. All right, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Luka Brzeski. This is going to be a pretty good matchup here. We got Kennedy is 13-5. Brzeski is sitting at 9-5-1. He's coming off that loss to Mick Parkin in his last match. Kennedy Nzechukwu is coming off that win against Chris Barnett, where if you remember that fight, Chris Barnett was a little injured in that one, and Kennedy eventually got him up against the cage and was able to end it. This matchup, I am going to pick Kennedy Nzechukwu. I don't think it's any big surprise there. I think there's going to be a slight size advantage. I think he's going to have definitely that longer reach. About a 5-inch reach advantage there for Nzechukwu. And to be quite honest with you, I've never really been that impressed with Brzeski. He's got good forward pressure, throws some looping overhand punches, can get a little wild at times. And Nzechukwu is the kind of guy that, to me, he will sit back, kind of, dodge in and out, get you there with that jab, and keep the distance well. And if he has to, he'll explode into those bursts and get you kind of on the fence. And then sometimes he'll end it with knees. He does have some ground game. So where if it does go to the ground, I would also favor him there. But overall, in this matchup, I am going to side with Kennedy Nzechukwu. Probably not going to be something that I'll bet on. Maybe as the week goes on, if these odds get a little bit closer, Kennedy might be a piece that I look to put in some type of parlay. But overall, I am trying to kind of stay away from these high odd matches, because even though if sometimes I do have some confidence in them, it just, it never seems to be worthwhile when you hit them. And it's usually some other piece that ends up messing up your whole parlay. So I'll probably end up staying away from this one, but Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be my pick in this first match. Okay, next up we have Father Time Can't Get Me, Clay Guida taking on Chase Hooper. Clay Guida is 38-24, a wealth of experience in fighting overall. Chase Hooper 14-3-1. Hooper is on a little bit of a roll here. He's had 3 straight wins. Nick Fiore, decision win there. Jordan Levitt got a submission win, which that's pretty impressive considering the competition. And Vyacheslav Borshov, he ended up getting a submission by Darce choke in that one. Clay Guida, on the other hand, is on a 2-fight skid, yet he's faced some pretty decent competition. Joaquim Silva, not the greatest, but he's a pretty tough guy. And Rafa Garcia in the matchup previously. He does usually go to decision in his matchups, and I think this is the one that, if it stays standing, I think Hooper's probably going to have the advantages, just due to the height and reach advantages that he has there. Guida's not one to usually look to get it down to the ground, and I think if he does, he's probably going to be in trouble there as well, because Hooper does have good BJJ skills, and let's be honest, we've seen Guida get finished by submission quite often in his career. So I I think it would be a bad combination for Guida to take this to the ground. I think he'll try and keep it on the feet, where honestly that would be his best method for success in my eyes, is to keep it on the feet and see if you can just beat him either by volume or possible knockout. But I don't think you're going to knock out Chase Hooper. It's not Clay Guida's forte, and I think that he's going to have a little bit of trouble getting Hooper out of there if he can. So I think Hooper's not. I think Hooper's live for a submission finish in this one, and in fact, I'm going to go and say that's going to be my method. That if I'm going to put a bet on this, I will put the bet on Chase Hooper by submission. But overall, I am going to pick Chase Hooper in this matchup. We will get on to the next one. Okay. Next up, we have Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup, but 17-7 for Chiesa, and we got Griffin sitting over here at 20-10. The way I see this playing out is Chiesa obviously, has taken the desk job, and I'm not exactly sure still where his head is at. Yes, he came out last time out and did get the win 3 months ago over Tony Ferguson. But let's be honest, Tony Ferguson is not the same Tony Ferguson that he was, and it's kind of sad what he's turned into in a way. And Chiesa, I pretty much expected that when I think everybody expected him to get that one done. So no surprise there. But other than that, the people that he's fighting, that he is losing to, in my eyes, is good competition. Kevin Holland, Sean Brady, obviously those are two, top people in the division right now. But, Vicente Luque is another one too. That's very tough competition. But when I look over at the other side and I look at who Griffin's fought, he's taken on some pretty decent competition himself. And he's beating the ones that he's supposed to beat. Carlos Condit, he later in his career, obviously, he did get a win over him. He did take a decision loss from Neil Magny. It was a split decision. You can never kind of tell with the judges how it goes with those things. Sometimes those split decisions can be a little iffy. Tim Means, he won a split decision there. Michael Morales, he lost, but he did go to decision in that one. And Michael Morales is a pretty tough opponent to take out. And Jeremiah Wells, he did win a split decision in that last matchup. To me, that weighs a little bit heavier than beating Tony Ferguson in your last matchup and then a string of losses previously. I don't think Chiesa, if this was prime time and they were in there both like at their fighting prime, I would probably pick Chiesa. But in this one, I am going to side with Max Griffin. I think he's got a little bit more dog in him. I don't think the takedowns are necessarily going to be there for Chiesa, and I think if he does end up taking Griffin down, I think Griffin's going to be able to get back up, and when he does, I think he's going to end up putting some punishment on him. So I am going to side with Max Griffin in this one. Not quite sure if I will bet on this one. I think it's right now the odds are not bad. If you did want to bet on this one, you felt strongly one side or another. These are ones that I tend to hang back on just a little bit, just to see how the card, how it's going to move, how it's going to play out. And obviously, there's some fights that I will wait till the cards actually started and kind of see how my luck is going. If I'm not feeling so lucky after that, I may put a bet in opposite of what I've picked. But in this case, I'm going Griffin, and this might be one that I take out a live flyer on at some point. But I'm going to pick Griffin in this match. All right. Next up, I think this is a pretty interesting matchup. We got Cody Durden taking on Joshua Van. Cody Durden is 17-6-1. Josh Van is 11-2. Right now, Cody Durden is sitting at a plus 135 underdog. And in my mind, that's, I can see why it's that way, but I just think that Cody Durden is too big of a dog, and I think those odds, even though they are pretty close, that's not bad. I think those should be a little bit closer, maybe to like that plus 115. Though I just think it's a little off in my mind, and I do think that Cody Durden is a dog in this matchup. And to me, I look at these two fighters, and yes, Joshua Van is extremely talented, good all-around fighter. He is going to be, in my mind, the better striker in this matchup. Yet at the same time, you got to look at somebody like Cody Durden. He's got that dog in him. And there's always that chance that he clips you with something and then continues to hurt you and get you out of there. I don't think he's going to be able to get Joshua Van out in this case, but this is one that I would love to be able to take an underdog play on Cody Durden, but I'm too skeptical of how he's going to come out. He does get a little bit wild at times, and I think Van has shown that he's pretty tough and can withstand that first round flurry of action and then come out on top later on in rounds, kind of calm things down. And I do think that he possibly could calm this down, but I'm going to go with the experience edge in this one, the edge, the age-wise. I think Cody Durden, being that 33 years old in his fighting prime, maybe a little bit past it for this weight division, but I still think that he's got the edge here, a little bit more experience. He is training at American Top Team, a very top level team. He's got great wrestling. We'll see if he can get this one to the ground. Even if he does get it to the ground, I think Joshua Van is going to be able to get back up, but I think this is going to be a matchup of volume. I see this fight going long, so if I'm going to bet on it, I'm probably going to go over 2.5 rounds in this one. I think it's a pretty safe bet that this one goes long. But I'm gonna take a flyer. I'm gonna say Cody Durden can get this done, but I think it'll be by decision in this one. All right. Next up, we have Chris Weidman taking on Eryk Anders. This is gonna be a decent matchup. I believe they're gonna do this one at a catch weight of 195, from what I'm understanding. I'm not gonna sway from my original pick in this fight. This fight was supposed to take place at the pay-per-view with John Jones. Unfortunately, it did not pan out that way, and the fight got canceled. I think Eryk Anders had an illness. I honestly don't care. I was picking Anders in that first fight, even when it was Madison Square Garden. I heard the narrative. I don't buy it. I have not seen anything that I thought was impressive from Chris Weidman in his last 2 fights. I don't see it. I don't think he's got the same oomph behind his punches. I don't think he's got it behind his kicks. I still think, in my mind, he still looks very, very timid on his leg. And when you throw those kicks with any type of timidness, I get very leery, and I don't see much power coming from anything that he's doing right now. Anders, on the other hand, I do feel like he's got some knockout power, and if anything else, I think this is one of those things where Anders will be able to basically hold him up against the cage if he so chooses. But I think the striking is going to be good enough that he could possibly catch him with an overhand. But I could see it going long. I could see Anders knocking him out. I just cannot wrap my head around Chris Weidman winning this match. The wrestling, yeah, I know he's got great wrestling. I know he's a great wrestler. Formerly a great wrestler. I think Anders will be able to avoid the takedowns. The only way I see Weidman winning is if, he does end up controlling him along the fence more and can possibly get a couple takedowns. But at the end of the day, I am going to take Eryk Anders, and I might have some little pick for you parlay-wise that I've added him in later on. You'll have to stick around and see where we go with that parlay. But that is my pick for this one, Eryk Anders for the win. I'll take him by decision. All right, this matchup might be where it's at. This one's going to be a good one. We got Randy Brown taking on Brian Battle. This is going to be a welterweight matchup. We got 19-5 Randy Brown, and we have 11-2 Brian Battle. I got to be quite honest. I'm gonna side with Brian Battle in this one. I know a lot of people are picking him. He is the favorite in this matchup, but I can honestly see why. The man he's on a tear right now. Not to say that Brown isn't. He's on a 3-fight winning streak of his own. Battle's on a 3-fight winning streak. But in my eyes, Brian Battle is just showing that he's lethal everywhere. He's got a great ground game already. We did see him get taken down over and over by Rinat Fakhretdinov, but that's a little bit different game that we're going to see from Randy Brown. We're not going to see a big takedown advantage here. Randy Brown usually does have some type of size advantage when he comes into his matches, but in this one, he's really not going to have a big size advantage. It's going to be, he's 6'3", Battle 6'1", about a 1-inch reach advantage there. So Randy Brown's not going to have a huge size advantage, which can play out to his favor a lot of times. And I just feel like Bryan Battle is the type that he kind of hunts you down anymore these days. And with that new moniker that he's given himself with the Butcher, he's all about it. And he seems like he is kind of reinvigorating his career. And I think he's seeing the money signs in everything that he's doing now, tatting himself up, getting more lethal, taking on a different name, getting that blonde hair rolling. So I think Battle is on a tear on this one. I think he's going to be a little bit too much to handle. I think he can beat him wherever the game goes. I think his striking continues to get better, and I think Randy Brown's got good striking and does keep distance well. But in this matchup, I think the level of competition for Bryan Battle has been there. I think he's gone through more adversity, and he's shown that he can hang in the pocket and have a little bit more to give than Randy Brown, in my opinion. So I'm gonna side with Bryan Battle in this one. I think this one is one that he's going to be able to get done. I think it's going to be a knockout for Bryan Battle in this one. I'm going to say I think he can get it done by the third round. So I'm going to say third round knockout, Bryan Battle. Okay. This match, I'm a little excited about it just because it does feature two fighters that kind of rule in the same discipline, so to speak. This is going to be Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Evloev obviously is undefeated. Got that 18-0 shining record there. Sterling, on the other hand, 24-4, and has just here recently moved up to the featherweight division. Obviously, the former bantamweight champion there, so he's got his accolades. He's getting a little bit older, though, 35 years old and fighting at featherweight. Father Time is undefeated, and I think this is a matchup. Obviously, Aljamain Sterling does have the wrestling chops. He's a backpacker, gets on your back and kind of rides you for a match and wins a lot of decision wins. Evloev, on the other hand, does have some really good, he's got good takedowns. He's got good stand-up, and when he gets on top of you, he's going to stay there. You can kind of judge by the region they're from of what they do best, and obviously he is Russian, so we know that wrestling is a big part of his game, and in this matchup in particular, I think he beats Sterling everywhere. This is a matchup I'm pretty confident in. Obviously it is fighting, and fighting can go either way. That's why we love it, but at the end of the day, this matchup it boils down to power, and I think that Evloev is going to have the more powerful presence on the ground, and I think he's going to be able to control it wherever it goes. Like I said, the stand-up I feel is better. Aljamain Sterling, he can catch him. His striking it's different, it's odd, but on the other hand, I don't think that it's going to be enough to combat Evloev. Most of the time, I wouldn't like taking somebody that's on an 18-fight winning streak. I think that's a little bit over the top for fighting terms in general. And Evloev did have a very, very hotly contested match against Diego Lopez, so he can put himself in some trouble, and anything can happen in a fight, like I said. But ultimately, in this one, I think that he is on a mission to get that belt around his waist, and I think that he'll kind of stop at nothing. And he's been taking on top-notch competition in the featherweight division. With his most recent wins, you're seeing him beat Dan Ige, Diego Lopez, like I said, and Arnold Allen. Those are three top-notch names in the featherweight division right now. So I hate to use MMA math, so to speak, but this is one that it kind of adds up. I think that Evloev is going to be able to get this done. I think he's going to be able to control him. I think he'll beat him on the stand-up too. Pretty much everywhere the match goes, I think that Evloev is a better fighter. So I am going to side with Evloev. I think it's going to go long. I'm going to say he beats him by decision in this one. And I probably do have this one. I do have this one in some parlays, but stick around. You'll see who I blend that one with. All right, next up we have Vicente Luque taking on Temba Garimbo. This is the fight that Nick Diaz was supposed to be actually fighting Vicente Luque, and as we've seen in clips, he's obviously going through some stuff. So Timba Garimbo has stepped in. You know this guy because The Rock is the one that bought him his house and kind of publicized his story, his rough upbringing going into the UFC. And since then, he has turned it around. Had some nice wins here. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. Luque, on the other hand, who is the underdog, he's 33 years old, 5'11", 170. Garimbo is going to be 170 as well, 6'1", though. This matchup boils down to me just in fight damage, basically. Luque, we've seen him be in some wars. We've seen him finished. We've seen, you know, even in his last match, he just took 7 months ago, took a ground and pound loss to Joaquin Buckley. You know, I'm never going to side with the guy that just took a heavy knockout unless I see some type of redeeming quality. Maybe they're young, just got caught, something along those lines. But look, if you've gotten to the age that you've been in some wars, you've been knocked out before, it's not the first time, I'm kind of going to look at it in a little different fashion. I think Luque has seen his better days, and I think Garimbo is on the rise right now. And I think that last matchup where he fought Nico Price, and Nico Price isn't the best opponent right now, but I think he definitely has the dog in him, and he did go the distance with him. So I think this is another one that Garimbo has a chance to prove his worth. Vicente Luque is going to be the highest up in rankings that he will have fought, so he is going to be tested a little bit, but ultimately I think he comes out on top in this matchup. I could possibly see a finish in this if the right situation plays out. In my eyes, that would probably be like a ground and pound scenario, but ultimately I will go Garimbo, and I'll go ahead and I'll pick it by decision just because I think that's the more likely play, because Vicente Luque has proven to be pretty durable over his career. But I'll take Garimbo by decision. All right, next up, we have the feature matchup on the prelims. We got Anthony Smith taking on Dominick Reyes. This is going to be a light heavyweight match. If they were both on equal ground and Anthony Smith hadn't been through multiple wars and wasn't, you know, getting up there in age, and more in the fight age that I'm saying. 36 years old isn't necessarily an old age for a light heavyweight, so to speak. But in terms of Anthony Smith, somebody that's fought to a record of 37-20, it is. It's a very long time to be fighting. It's a lot of damage to be taking over time. In my opinion, he didn't look that great in the last matchup that he had. Obviously, he lost a decision to the Lidze, but the matchup looked like a joke. I don't know. He just didn't look motivated. He looked tired. Just it was like night and day from the matchup before that when he faced Petrino, which I kind of think he got lucky in that one. I really do. He got that guillotine, and I understand he won the match, but to me, it was kind of a lucky thing that he got it. And I think if he had not pulled that off, it would have been a completely different story for the rest of that match. So credit where credit is due. You got the win there, but I think it was a little bit of a fluke. And before that, you had Roundtree knocking you out. Before that, you went to split decision with Ryan Spann, and then before that, you had a decision loss to Johnny Walker. On the other hand, Dominick Reyes has not looked the same since he lost to John Jones 4 years ago. That obviously took a toll on him. It was a unanimous decision. I think it was more of a mental letdown than anything, because a lot of people were saying that he won that fight. And I think when you get to that peak and you're facing somebody like John Jones, you put everything that you have into a fight like that, and then you lose something like that when a lot of people think that you might have won, and that chip stays on your shoulder. And then it seemed like it got in the way of his next few matches, which he was still facing top competition. Jan Blachowicz. We obviously right after that, he went against Yuri Prohashka and then Ryan Spann. He's just now, I feel like, trying to get back on track. He's had some very tough matches. He took some losses in those matches. But in this last one, he did get it back against Dustin Jacoby. And in my opinion, at this stage in their career, Dustin Jacoby is what I would consider a more viable striker and a more dangerous fighter than Anthony Smith. I know Anthony Smith is good everywhere. He has the submissions, but I think this is going to boil down to a matchup of strength. And I think the way Reyes comes out sometimes and just puts pressure on you, gets you up against the fence, and when he does get you there and does get you hurt, it's going to be a different story. I think he's going to end up knocking Anthony Smith out in this one. I think it's going to happen pretty early. I think it's going to be a first-round knockout for Dominick Reyes is what I'm going to call in this one. That is my pick for this feature matchup on the prelims. Dominick Reyes by first-round KO. All right, this next fight is going to be a banger. Nate Landwehr taking on Dooho Choi. We just saw Dooho Choi return to action not too long ago. It was now about 4 months ago against Bill Algeo, and he did knock him out with that left hook. He came back and proved that he was dangerous. It was almost like we forgot about Dooho Choi, but he has been away for quite some time before that. He did have a year before that. He did have the Kyle Nelson decision, majority decision draw. And then he came back, and that was 4 months ago with the Bill Algeo knockout. I think Choi's back, honestly. I think he's kind of back to reclaim his crown. Nate Landwehr is a little bit older now, 36 years old. He's definitely been in some wars, and you know what kind of fighter he is. He's got good ground game. He's got good. I wouldn't necessarily call it good stand up. It's wild stand up. It's crazy, and he gets hit a lot. He takes a lot of punishment, but he can also dish it out. In this matchup, I know Landwehr is the favorite in this matchup, but I think people are underestimating Dooho Choi. One, Landwehr has submission wins on his record, which Dooho Choi does too. And I don't think that even is going to be a realm of possibility for you to submit Dooho Choi. I think that he's got good enough ground game that he's going to be able to avoid any submissions you're going to throw at him. I'm not even sure you're going to be able to get it to the ground against him. Landwehr does get a little bit wild on the feet, and he is hittable. He does get hit quite a bit. And I think Dooho Choi's slick striking is going to be enough to take this match wherever it goes. I don't see a finish necessarily in this one, although Choi does hit extremely hard and does have a lot of knockouts. Landwehr's tough. Honestly, I take it back. I take it all back. I do actually see this going a little bit longer in distance, maybe to the middle of the second round, third round possibly. And I think Choi is going to end up getting Landwehr out of there. I think he's going to knock him out in this one. I think his stand-up is just too good, and I think the ground defense, I don't think Landwehr is going to be able to get it to the ground in order to even implement any type of ground game, which, to be quite honest with you, if you did get it to the ground, I don't think that you'd be able to sub Dooho Choi anyway. So I'm going to side with Dooho Choi in this one. I think he's going to get a knockout. I think it's going to come in the late second round or early third round, and I think Landwehr is going to have a bad night. This next one, I think this fight is going to be, to be quite honest with you, I think it's a chance of being pretty exciting, but in all honesty, I think it's going to be boring as shit. I'm not a fan of Bryce Mitchell. I don't like his throw a couple punches and then run at your legs and try and get you to the ground and then hog tie you and shit like that. I think it's boring. I was so happy when he got choked out by Ilia Topuria. I couldn't even see straight. I thought it was a great moment. Even getting knocked out by Josh Emmett, I love seeing that too. I'm not a fan of his. I don't like him. I don't like his fighting style. I don't like watching his fights. Kron Gracie, this is more of like a pick for me from a non-fan perspective, because I just want to see Kron Gracie win this fight. I would love to see him choke him out in true Gracie fashion. Obviously, we all know the Gracie name. We know what that carries with it. I got to be honest with you, Kron Gracie's not a good fighter. He did not look good in his last two matchups. it's a weird style to me. It's almost like he's chasing you around the octagon, trying to grab you by the neck and pull you to the ground, which is weird. It's basically pulling you into guard. And he sometimes can get some stuff done. He's a Gracie. Obviously, he has a ton of submissions on his hands, but I think this is a fight that actually plays into his style. He wants it on the ground, and Bryce Mitchell sucks at stand-up. So in my opinion, Bryce Mitchell's going to take it to the ground because that's what he always does. Kron Gracie can either try and fight it, or he can just go with it and then try and submit him on the ground. I think he's good enough on the ground. He's obviously knows what he's doing there. I think he is going to be obviously the better BJJ person or BJJ stylist out of the two. He's going to know what to do. He's going to know the advantages once it gets to the ground. And like I said, I don't think Bryce Mitchell is a high enough IQ fighter to keep it standing where he might have the advantages in this one. So his only thing is going to be diving for legs, trying to get him to the ground, get him to the ground, get him to the ground, pressure, pressure, pressure. If Kron Gracie can let him go to the ground or let him take it to the ground and then end up getting him in a bad position, I see Kron Gracie can win this thing. So it's not a surefire pick, and I probably wouldn't be betting on it because even though I don't like Bryce Mitchell, when the wrestling is on, he does well with it. It's a very, very huge weapon for him. But in this matchup, I just don't think it's going to be something that he's going to be able to use against a person like Kron Gracie. So I'm going to side with Kron Gracie in this one. I would love to see him win. Don't know. Maybe I'll place a bet on it. I'm not really sure exactly where I'll go with that, but Kron Gracie is going to be the pick, and I will take him by a submission in the second round. Okay, that'll bring us to the last 3 fights on the main card of UFC 310. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Feed me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking of these picks. Let me know if you're with me. Let me know if you're against me. Always enjoy hearing what you guys are picking as well. So give me your lock of the week in the comment section. Give me your underdog picks of the week. Give me your parlays of the week. Let me know everything, people. Let's communicate. Let me hear what you're thinking. We're jumping right into this next match. We got a heavyweight matchup between Ciryl Gane and Alexandre Volkov. This is going to be a nice matchup to watch too. This is one of the more confident picks for me. I think Ciryl Gane has some pretty distinct advantages in this one. Even though he is going to have a little slight size disadvantage, not much. It's not going to be something over. I mean, it's more of a height advantage. He obviously doesn't have the reach advantage. He isn't going to be missing out on the reach advantage there for Volkov. So just has an inch on reach there. But Volkov, look, it goes back to something I've talked about in the fights in previous breakdowns in this card. He's been through a lot of wars. Volkov is 38-10. Ciryl Gane, even though he doesn't have as much of an experience advantage, 12-2, he still fought top-notch competition. And keep in mind, one of those losses was to Jon Jones, and it never really got started. So we don't know exactly where that striking advantage might have gone had it played out a little bit further. Obviously, we saw that he can be taken down and choked out pretty quick. We did get that from that Jon Jones match. But let's be honest, Volkov is not necessarily doing that. That's not his game. So, I think that this is a matchup. Gane's style is one that I think will frustrate Volkov. I don't think he's going to be as hittable for him. I think that Volkov is going to have a speed disadvantage in this one. Gane, with that bouncing in and out style, I think is going to cause problems. I think those leg kicks are going to end up hampering Volkov's speed even more and his punching power. And I think this is going to be one. Gane's not knocking people out, and Volkov isn't knocking people out. So unless something has totally changed, I would side with Gane. If one of them were going to get a knockout, I would definitely go with Ciryl Gane to get that. But I think this one is going to be one that'll go a little bit longer. Even if Gane does get it, I think it would come in the later rounds. So I would feel safe putting an over 3.5 rounds on something like this, and definitely picking Gane to win this matchup. we will bounce on over to the next match. And yeah, flat out, like many other people probably going to be watching this card, this is the matchup that I want to see the most. Plain and simple, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Garry. This is going to be a good matchup, and I I know the way I want it to play out, which I love Rakhmonov. I think he's a great fighter. Shavkat's got all the tools in the bag. The striking is there. He does get hit a little bit more than I would like to see sometimes, but his takedowns are great. His submission skills are top notch. So anywhere this fight goes, he is dangerous. We haven't seen everything from Garry. Obviously, both of these fighters are undefeated. Garry is the one that is usually taking things all the way the distance, and it's more to do with his style, the way he bounces around the cage, the way he goes back and forth and kind of goes, that little stutter step one way and then cuts back another way. That's very, very frustrating to get a beat on, and it's something that the way I see this playing out, Rakhmonov likes to kind of walk you down, get you up against the fence where he can put a little bit more pressure on you, cut off your angles, and then go for either his takedown or get you up against the fence and use some of the grappling techniques to get some uppercuts in there, some dirty boxing going. Machado Garry, on the other hand, he likes to move around the cage, likes to kind of bounce around the fence, where that's his game. He can frustrate you by you not being able to hit him, but the way Shavkat can cut off angles, I think is going to be a problem in this for Garry. And I can see him definitely landing a good punch and then getting a double leg on Garry and taking him down. Garry, we know who he's training with when he's training with Oliveira and people such as that. So we know that he's got good training partners and we know that he's skilled in BJJ, but we don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge in what that skill looks like on the ground. Shavkat, on the other hand, he's got many submissions. Every one of his wins has been by finish. So we kind of know what we're going to get. You know that he's going for the kill every time. I'm always going to side with the guy in the end that's going to go for that, because I don't like somebody that is going to be completely chasing you down, looking for like head hunting, and you're trying to bounce around, because I think it takes too much perfection through too many rounds. I think eventually Garry is going to get caught. So I am going to side with Rakhmonov to get this one done. I think it's going to be the first time that Garry's finished. And in this one, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think he's going to knock him down, flash knockdown, and then I think he's going to go for a sub. So I think it's going to be Rakhmonov by submission. And I think it's going to be the second round. Second round, Rakhmonov by submission. That's what I'm calling. And this is going to bring us to the flyweight championship matchup of Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. This is going to be a very, very interesting matchup, because when I watched the tape for obviously Pantoja, we know what you're going to get from him. He's a dog. He's an animal. He's always going to bring the fight. He's consistently beating top competition in the flyweight division. So we know who he's faced. Asakura, on the other hand, is a little bit of a mystery to me still, because when I watch the tape, he looks ruthless. He punches with extreme power, and it's power that I do think could put Alexandre out if he catches him. But it's going to take a major shot, and Pantoja, he moves so well when he's fighting in and out, and he, on a dime, he can come in and strike and then be out, come in and strike and be out. But after taking on so many great fighters in the UFC, and when you have somebody coming in from another organization who is also a champion and has championship level fighting there as well, you start looking at it from this. It could happen. And I think in this case, I I definitely think that it could happen. Asakura definitely could knock Pantoja out, but ultimately, I got to go with the UFC side here. You got to take the side of Alexandre Pantoja to get this done and to win a championship once again. I think that he's going to take it back home, and that's going to be where I'm going to go with this. This is one fight that I don't think it's going to go the distance. Honestly, I think one of these guys is going down. In that instance, it could be an Asakura victory just because that punching power looks extremely lethal. So we will see how this one plays out. And when we see the weigh-ins, I may have some pick flips just to let you know. So if I do have a pick flip, I'll come back on. I'll update everything and let you know where I'm going. May give you some more bets. I might have some more put in by then. So we'll see where it goes. That is my my picks for you for the UFC 310 card. But now let me get over to this betting side because I did tell you that I had some bets for you. And I put together what I considered 3 decent bets for you here at the beginning, just to at least give you some early looks of what I'm going with. And on this first one, I'm going to call this the parlay of the week. These are my 2 most confident picks of the week. I know that some people may consider these a little risky. I myself at times do look at it and say, yeah, this could be a little bit risky, but ultimately I think both these guys have unique advantages over their opponents and are just better where the other guy is just as is the strength of the other guy as well. So in this one, I'm going to go Ciryl Gane at money line and Movsar Evloev at money line as well. -128 on DraftKings. I went in for this on 1 unit. This is my parlay of the week, my most confident picks right there. This is what I'll call the Shall We Pray parlay right here. I'm pretty confident in these picks. I understand these can go either way, and these are a little bit more iffy than your regular picks, but obviously we have a pretty huge payout too in the end. So I'm gonna go my pick from the last matches that got canceled. Eric Anders. I still think he has advantages over Chris Weidman. I'm not impressed by Chris Weidman. He has to show it to me first. So I'm going to go Eric Anders to get that one done. Might be a close decision. You might have to sweat it out, but I think he's going to get it. Next, Themba Gorimbo. I think he's going to be better. I think even though he is coming in on short notice, he's always training. He's got something to prove. I like the kid. Not kid, but well, kid to me, but I think that he's good. I think he's going to be up there for a little while. So I'm going to side with Themba to get this one done. So I'm going to take him on the money line as well. And last but not least, I'm doing it again. This is my guy, Dooho Choi, for that money line. That's my 1+ odds that I'm going to throw in on this Shall We Pray parlay. It comes out at +585 on FanDuel. Hey, huge payout. 1 unit pays you out 5 units. Hey, that's a great come up right there. So let's get it on that one. And then here it is, my underdog of the week. You know who it is, Dooho Choi. +120 on DraftKings. I'm going to take that all day long, people. Even if I'm wrong, I feel like it's a good bet. Look, Dooho Choi is a proven fighter. He's faced some top-notch competition. He's lost some top-notch matches. But the ones that he loses to they're better strikers than what Nate Landwehr is, in my opinion. Nate Landwehr is a good striker, but Dooho Choi has fought way more competent strikers who bring it to you from all angles and are a little bit more abstract and known for their striking than what Nate Landwehr is. I think Dooho Choi can get this one done. That's going to be my underdog pick of the week right there. That is all of my picks right now for UFC 310. I hope that you have enjoyed. And we'll keep balling. We'll get these picks down. If you've got some, add them in your comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Like I said, I'm always interested to hear from you. Until then, my name is Brady. This is Be All In Sports. Remember, get your bets in Keep balling, people. Have an excellent week. I'll be back with an update. Peace.